I'm Alexandrea Callaghan with Temple of Geek and the Lady Comic Book History podcast. Today I am joined by Maria, and we are going to talk about the women of House of the Dragon.
Yes. Team Black always.
Yes, absolutely. There's no other way to watch that show. I want to approach this from the angle of just talking about the TV show.
Okay, because I'm really glad.
I know that there's a lot of book talk in the show, and it's kind of inseparable, and I get that, but I want to talk in the context of just the show.
Okay, that's really good because I think you've read the books, right?
I have read the book, yes.
Okay, we're going to probably have to dabble into your knowledge because I feel a lot of feelings about certain characters. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Yes. And I wanted to get the context because I feel a certain way with the way the show's approaching her, but I feel like the book didn't approach her that way. So I'm glad we said that.
The book didn't approach anybody the way they're approaching the show, which is why I need to separate them. Because when season 2 hit, they become completely unrecognizable from their book counterparts.
And even from season 1, I would say.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. That's what we're going to talk about. But my first bullet point here is really we're talking about how women are portrayed in House of the Dragon, and there's really only 3 we can even talk about. Yeah. Maybe 4, but Rhaenys dies so early in the season that it's like, Rhaenys and Helena, I guess. It's really Rhaenyra and Alicent. And I want to start there because a lot of the marketing of the show this season was Rhaenyra versus Alicent, when the story should be Rhaenyra versus Aegon.
Yeah.
And they pushed the teams really hard, and I don't really have a problem with that. The problem is that Alicent was the face of Team Green, which doesn't make any narrative sense.
Yeah.
Then you're pitting women against each other for exactly no reason.
And especially because, they really backburnered Alicent this season.
Yes.
What was she this season? What was her character this season? What?
Mm-hmm.
What? I can't even. There was literally a season where she's just, episode where she's just hanging out in the woods, going on her.
And the context for that is that her book character is so wildly irrelevant that they literally just had to make some shit up.
And it's an insulting because Olivia Cook is such a good actress. And why do you have her going on glamcation? Why is she glamping? I don't understand. And Olivia Cook deserves so much more than this.
Well, and my problem with that is, I believe I can get the intention. It just wasn't executed very well. The intention is Alicent realizes what she has put in motion, and she's now having an internal struggle with that. That's the broad strokes of what that story was supposed to be, but there was nothing to that if you analyze media professionally, there's no way to discern that from what we were shown.
Yeah. I feel like so many stronger choices were made from her character in season 1 that season 2, I'm just I feel like they washed her out so much, and I'm sure it made sense. I understood where they were going with her. I just feel like she was so strong in this whole marketing, but then her character backpedaled so quickly. Mm-hmm. And I'm just what do you want her to do? And then I think it's okay, the marketing doesn't match the character analysis. Rhaenyra continued to rise. Emma Darcy, got the front and center as they should. But, I was just I don't understand because technically your scene partner or equivalent opposite is Olivia and is Alicent. But the character has been so washed out. By the end, I do like season 2. I just I feel like it's such a weird season as far as the characters go, maybe, and their choices. Especially even Tom Glencarney and the way Aemon and Aegon are approached. I don't know. Yeah. It's a lot. There's a lot, and even Daemon. There's a lot to discuss.
Individual choices were made.
Yeah, there we go.
And
that's a good word to say.
The right choices. Let's just say that the source material stopped being source material.
Okay, fair. I remember because someone was just Alicent Hightower is the Pearl of Westeros, and it's low key. That's exactly what they're paying her out as, unfortunately. But I know in I know in the book source material, she is nothing like that. She is so much more of a forefront. She's actually like a main player in everything. But they literally backburner her so much. She wasn't even in the council meetings at one point.
Well, honestly, my issue with how she was handled this season is I loved to hate her so much in season 1. Everything she did pissed me off. It was some Cersei level hatred.
Yeah.
But no one can be a bad character until season 8. And I feel like they season 8'd Alicent because she didn't do anything to elicit the same reaction from me. She was just kind of there.
For me, it was like a Daenerys, which is like, I found this character so intricate and interesting, and then you reduced her into something.
Yeah, I get that. And I think part of the problem comes from a season 1 mistake that they made, which was aging Alicent down.
I've heard that, yeah.
Here's my issue. I don't actually have a problem with the story they were trying to go with. Like, the best friends torn apart.
Yeah.
I actually liked that angle, and honestly, the first scene they had on screen together, I yelled gay at the screen.
No, but right? No.
That is not
their love.
Like, that is romance, and that would have been, that had more heart to it. But
Rhaenyra literally said, "Let's run away together."
I just want to ride on Dragonback with you and eat cake all day. Gay.
Exactly. That is romance right there. That is love.
So no other way to put the concept. The execution, however, even in season 1, was the writers proving that Sarah Hess has never had female friends, and the men in the writers' room don't understand how female friendships work. Because I'm sorry, if my best friend, who I love with all my heart and is the only person in my life that I feel connected to, especially after my mother dies, if that's my only tie for both Alicent and Rhaenyra, I'm not going to get pimped out by my father and not say anything to my best friend about it. There's no way that happens. Well, she was scared. Well, she was intimidated. Well, her dad made her. No. There's no world where they're that close and she doesn't go, "Hey, Rhaenyra, I'm really uncomfortable. My dad really wants me to seduce your dad. This is what's happening. I'm being forced to go into his chambers at night and I'm not feeling comfortable with it. Hey, I think your dad's going to ask me to marry him."
It was so jarring. It was really so jarring, and I think that's what invested me. Because I'll be honest with you, after season 8 of Game of Thrones, I was like, I'm not invested in this story. But whenever I saw that drastic of a change with her friendship to like this betrayal, because there's no other word for it besides that it would be betrayal for a friendship,
right?
That I was like, oh my god, this got me. Fun fact: I was watching House of the Dragon. My parents aren't really into fantasy. But, like, I told my mom this story, and I'm like, I know this is a universal female experience, that your best friend marrying your father behind your back and then forcing her son to be the ruler would affect every woman. And I'm like, I'm assuming that they wanted, like, cheap gags, essentially, with the writers. I'm like, oh, it will be such betrayal because, like...
Because girls.
Girls, exactly, because of girls. This is how females, like, no one would hurt a woman like this. This is just something, another woman could not do this unless they were trying to actively hurt them. And my mom doesn't even like fantasy, but it hit her. She's like, yeah, because she even stopped. She's like, wait, her best friend? I'm like, her best friend. Make it make sense. You can't.
Well, and my problem is that there was a way to take that angle. In my writer brain, I have no problem taking that angle. And you still would have gotten to the same result that you wanted in season 2. And then those fan fiction scenes that you wrote in season 2 with them randomly meeting up together would have made more sense.
Yeah, you're right.
But because you gave us 2 scenes, I think, of them being like, look, here, they're close, they're best friends. And then you just dropped it entirely and then tried to convince us that they were closer than they were later in the season.
And those scenes are very sitcom-y. Like, this season was there was a comedy.
The only way I can describe the scenes between Alicent and Rhaenyra this season are 7th grade Wattpad fanfiction. Because that's how poorly written they were and how little sense they made.
It made no sense in the show we've been watching. I was like, what is this? What CW show am I watching here?
They both segue perfectly into my second bullet point, which was the main issue I had with this season, is that Rhaenyra was also watered down to be so passive, and it looked like all of the women wanted peace and all of the men wanted war, and the men kept pushing women into war, and they're like, no, I'm gonna go talk to my best friend that I haven't been close with in 20 years, and we're gonna work it out because we once had a conversation under a tree. Like, sense. And
this is why I wanted to ask, I'm like, what happened in the books? Because as someone who's not read the books, I'm just watching this happen, and I'm like,
not that.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I feel like I'm being manipulated into feeling some type of way about these characters, and it worked. They did a very compelling manipulation into expecting the least, unfortunately, from everyone but Rhaenys and Helena, essentially. And yeah, and I'm like, someone else said, they're like, Rhaenyra is technically the main character. So, but she's also not the main character, so they're forcing her on these, like, adventures into Westeros. And I'm just like, see, that's confusing to me, because, like, I'm being painted out that this is the main character, this is who I'm following, she's the Daenerys, essentially, that I should be following, but her character was never supposed to be that. So that's what I'm, like, asking, I'm like, what happened with the books? Because I feel like my viewing experience, I started questioning so much midway through. Because I'm like, I don't think this is actually what the book wanted me to feel about these people.
No, it's not. So here's, let me see if I can do this rant in a
I know it's like so probably hard to like encapsulate it into a like 8-hour podcast, but let's try.
Well, essentially, the sexism of the books is the storyline itself. Rhaenyra got usurped strictly because she was a woman. The books themselves, the way they are written, is not sexist. Rhaenyra and Alicent were both power-hungry bitches, and we were all okay with that. Like, that's the way it is.
I think would have been better.
But because of the nature of the time and the people around them, they both got kind of shoved to the side. People were fighting for Rhaenyra and her right to the throne, and they kept fighting for her right to the throne and her bloodline's right to the throne after she died. Aegon's men poisoned him. The correct heir to the throne did eventually, that bloodline is what sat at the end. Team Black does win in the end. Even though Rhaenyra is dead.
Yeah.
Alicent, at this whole time, she runs off. She leaves King's Landing and she lives a full life and then dies alone, but she's not relevant to the dance at all.
Oh.
At all.
Interesting.
She makes like one move, which was kind of hinted at the end of season 2, where she invites Rhaenyra to basically take Aegon.
And so that's book canon, then.
Kinda. The way they did it was weird, but yeah.
I mean, it was queer, simply put, which I'm all for. I'm sorry, I'm a fan of them being together, but I understand whatever the narrative may not fit.
Better in season 1. If it was written in better in season 1, I'd have no problem with them like tugging on that string in season 2. But it was just so poorly that I'm like, I don't believe you. Like, Alicent asks Rhaenyra to run away with her, and Rhaenyra like scoffs and rolls her eyes. I'm like,
yeah, literally.
Correct, because get the fuck out of here. But my issue is that the show tried so hard to take an already, like, the dangers of misogyny and power story, like, that already existed in the book. They took it and they went, but what if we girl bossed it? And I'm sitting here like, why? Why? Yeah. You didn't need to change anything to do what you intended, and now you're doing it badly, so you are doing the thing that you intended to criticize, and that's terrible.
I hate the girl bossification of all media adaptations, so yeah, okay, I understand the like anger towards it completely.
The only thing I can equate it to, and I don't know, the reviews that I have read seem to agree with me on this. I finally watched the American Society of Magical Negroes.
I haven't seen that because of the reviews. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it.
Not good. So
yeah, I heard. Yeah,
you've seen the trailer. It frames itself as a satire, but when you do satire poorly, you just become the thing you're satirizing.
I know, and no one knows how to do satire well. Looking at you, the boys. Like,
oh, God. And I feel like that's the only way I can put it with this show. You are trying to make critiques, but because you don't understand the source material in the original story, you are just becoming the thing you're trying to critique.
Yeah.
And that's why George R. R. Martin's comments on the adaptation are actually so important. It's an adaptation of something from someone who's been dead a bajillion years. People have all kinds of comments on Rings of Power and
like
whatever.
Rings of Power. Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Tolkien would have hated the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings too.
Yeah.
Okay? He's dead.
No, and I don't think people understand, because it's so funny you bring up Peter Jackson, because I literally just rewatched the Fellowship of the Rings last night. I'm like, it's just an action movie.
Like,
it's a heist movie. It's a heist movie.
Yes. Like, no one's denying that they're great movies, but J.R.R. Tolkien would have hated them. So, why acting like Rings of Power is different?
Yeah, like, everyone's just like, when I was thinking about, I'm like, we need to collect a group of team to, like, do this, like, mission. I'm like, this is just an action heist. Elves and dwarves and hobbits! And it's, like, a fun boys are hanging out, which is great, but that's just a heist movie. Simply.
You're not wrong.
No. That's why we love them. That's why Lord of the Rings has such a mass appeal, is because it's an action heist.
Really for everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so my problem with that is that it doesn't affect Tolkien. He's dead.
Yeah, true.
Martin is alive, and you're actively affecting his livelihood. And
he's actively still writing the books.
Some people are jumping on him for daring to have an opinion on his source material being absolutely butchered. And, like, I'm working on a video essay on adaptations, but basically it boils down to you are doing an adaptation because this thing was popular in the first place. Which means you owe the built-in audience you have respect. Yeah. I'm not saying complete accuracy. I understand that it's different mediums and things have to change, and Fire and Blood is written as a history book, and that's very hard to adapt one-to-one, except it's not. So, so you have to respect the source material and the people that come with it, and they're just shitting all over it, so therefore they're shitting all over the book fandom and Martin himself, and that's just not okay.
Yeah. No, agreed. That's why I wanted to actually ask about the book adaptation, because, like, I think it's very important because of, like, again, maybe, like, as a show, it was fun to watch, but, like, if I was being critical about the characters and their analysis and the female characters and how they're written, I'm like, but it wasn't done well. And I feel like this is where the discrepancy of, like, was it adapted from the book versus, is this supposed to be this way because of the book, or is it because it was a lack of adaptation, like, continuity?
Yeah, honestly, it feels like somebody, like an intern at HBO, just Wikipedia'd Fire and Blood and then did, like, Cornell notes on it real fast and then handed it to Sarah Hess and Ryan Condal and said, this is the gist, and that's it.
And as more of a TV watcher, I will say, writer's strike, the actor strike didn't help things, but, like, Interview with the Vampire Season 2 killed it. So I'm just like,
plenty of things were not actually affected by the writer's strike because they
knew. So it's like there is a level, and then like I made a video about this too, where someone's just like, "Oh, well, the writer's strike. You clearly don't understand the writer's strike having an effect on media." And I'm like, "No, I do. I lived through the first one."
Dragon didn't stop filming because of the writer's strike.
Exactly.
Affected by it. If they wanted to be able to change their scripts when they wanted, all they had to do was not be fucking scabs, and we would have gotten a better season. So I don't take their writer's strike excuses because they're full of it.
Exactly. And that's like the other thing is just like there's clearly levels to this. Fine, The Bear season 3 didn't do well, but like I don't know, I expected more for the House of Dragon. Like I don't excuse the fact that, like, oh, it's the writer's strike season.
You have one of the biggest budgets on streaming. You're telling me you couldn't buy yourself a couple of months after the strikes ended?
Yeah. And like you said, we know that they kept filming. We know for a fact they kept filming.
So. They did not have to. And they shouldn't have, because they made themselves look really bad.
I don't care if you're from England.
But plenty of American actors are employed.
Yeah.
And the writers are American. So it's crunchy. It didn't feel good when I knew that they kept filming. I feel the same way about Deadpool and Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds is a fucking scab. Sorry, Monica, I'm cussing all over the place.
Yeah. I totally forgot we were on Temple of Geek first.
I thought we were on mine, and I'm just going.
I'm like, I thought we were on your pod. I was like, oh, this is a Temple of Geek. No, never mind. Oh my God, we love you.
Ryan Reynolds is a scab. Blake Lively's a scab. Like, I have so many issues with the way so many projects were handled.
Yeah. Agreed. Fair.
And it's all from A-listers, but HBO, you have so much money and there was zero excuse for it.
Yeah, it's HBO. Like,
yeah,
it's not...
they have the budget.
Yeah.
They just chose not to allocate it to bettering the industry or bettering their show, apparently.
So one character I do want to ask you about is Alice Rivers. Not Alice Rivers, wait. What's her name? The Witch.
Yeah.
She was I was like, I hope they do her right. Because I'm like, I love that actress a lot from this show called Glow, which I highly recommend everyone watch. So I was just really excited to see her. I screamed. She's one of my favorite characters in Glow. So it's just like, I wonder how I wanted to ask you about her and how her character is in the books versus the adaptation. How you felt about her? Because she was like, I don't know. I couldn't really put my finger on what she was in the show.
So this was where more original thoughts come in. Damon's time at Harrenhal in the books is given like 2 sentences.
Well, it was like literally the whole season at the same time.
They made shit up the whole time because there was nothing there.
Why?
And here's my issue with that. If Damon was going crazy in Harrenhal, if this was something that was happening, people would have noticed. They would be like,
yeah.
The history book would have been like, Damon went to Harrenhal and then shit got weird. No one knows what's up with him. He was like hallucinating or something. He kept talking to walls. Like, something would have been there. And so they really did just pull that out of their butts.
What do you think your theory is about it? Like, why do you think they went so hard on him having like an like his whole that dream sequence with his mother? Like, why do we have to have an Oedipus complex right now? Like, I just want to understand.
Sarah Hess want us to hate Damon so badly for I don't know what reason.
Just because, okay.
They are very clearly Team Green.
Yeah. Yes.
And they hate Damon.
Yes.
Because the internet loves Damon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you wanted us to hate Damon, you shouldn't have cast Matt Smith.
Exactly. And I have understood, because like poor media literacy is thriving on the internet. I understand that. And we unfortunately have this. It's either 2 things. Either we expect characters that are great to be perfect and in order for us to root for them, or we keep excusing bad behavior and thinking, oh, well, they're redeemable because they're a hot white man. So I understand. Like, it's the BoJack Horseman of it all.
Here's my deal. Yeah. Wanda Maximoff can do whatever she wants, and I will defend her till my death.
Like, to be fair, and like, I would have done that in real life. My thing is, like, these aren't just fictional characters. Yeah, they're fictional characters, but like, in my head, people are great. People make mistakes. People act on their emotions. So like, these people seem realistic to me. So like, if you needed Damon to sleep with his own mother to know that he was a bad person, then that is an audience issue. That rather than like an understanding.
But their hatred of Damon started in season 1. They had him kill his first wife, which, by the way, he was at the War in the Stepstones. He was nowhere near her.
Forgot about that. I totally forgot.
That did not happen. That was
really
happened in the books. He was at the Stepstones. He was nowhere near her. He heard about her death and then came asking for the inheritance. That part was accurate, but he did not kill his first wife. He did not strangle Rhaenyra. There was no physical altercations between him.
No, so why does Damon have the reputation that he does in general before?
So here's my other issue with watching this show, and this goes to media literacy a little bit, is that people so desperately want to watch this show through the lens of 2024 real world morals, and it irritates me to no end. They're like, well, Damon groomed his niece. I go, no, he didn't.
And this is not just for House of the Dragon. It's literally every media project out these days. And I can't. This is why I've like checked off of TikTok for a bit, because I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
In this time period, in this family, in Westeros, there was just incest was a Targaryen thing.
Yeah.
Uncles married nieces.
If you've been watching Game of Thrones, this should not be a big deal.
Aunts and uncles, like this happened all the time. This was normal to keep the bloodline pure so that their people were the only people riding dragons.
Yeah.
Age gaps did not exist. It did not matter.
Yeah.
Like, so grooming as a concept does not exist in Westeros.
Yeah.
And it's stated very clearly in the books that Damon is Rhaenyra's favorite uncle, and she look forward to every time he came back to King's Landing because he brought her presents and told him of her adventures, and she very clearly had a crush and affection for him. Yeah. So, in the context of this world, their relationship was 100% consensual. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure where the vitriol for Daemon is coming from, because in the context of this world, he didn't do anything wrong.
And, like, 2 other points, maybe 3 other points to this is that, like, historically, this is also accurate. Like, kings marry their cousins all the time. Yeah. Age gaps existed all the time. Age gaps still exist all the time. Like, what the fuck is people... Sorry, Monica. What are people talking about? Like, age gaps still exist. Look at, like... Let's not even look at Leonardo DiCaprio. Let's look at Tobey Maguire and his girlfriend. Like, Spider-Man, you know? We love him so much. Look at who he's dating. So, age gaps still exist. Historically, marrying within your, like, relationship still, family tree still existed. But it's just, like, how did you watch House of Dragon and ship Jon Snow with Daenerys and then expect anything differently? Also, other fantasies have talked about this with the whole bloodline being pure thing. This is to speak on that. So, like, I don't know. I don't even discuss it in that way of, like, because someone says, like, oh, she's so pick-me. And I'm like, why would you bring up such a, like, millennial Gen Z word in the age of, like, George R. R. Martin's, like, fantasy world? Like, pick-me? Really? Really? Okay. But,
yeah. My other issue with the way... God, Alicent was just so stupid this season.
Yeah, Alicent was a disappointment. Because I feel like they did a really good job with her character in season 1. I thought she was very dynamic. She was complex. I hated her, but I understood her.
She made decisions. She actually
had autonomy. Yes.
Yeah. When the king got sick, so sick that he couldn't come to council meetings, she was running fucking Westeros.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're telling me that after she says 2 or 3 times in the first season that the king isn't lucid enough to rule and everything he says is just hallucinations and delusions, you're telling me she misunderstood that he wanted her Aegon on the throne, and she was just riding with that until halfway through season 2?
Yeah.
Stupid. You're telling me this woman who has made conscious decisions to put her children on the throne watched the man that actively ignored her kids and never called her by her name, only called her by his dead wife's name.
Yeah, about that.
This woman sat there and heard on his deathbed, the prince that was promised Aegon will unite the realm, and she thought, yes, my child that he's never acknowledged. Are you kidding me?
I don't understand their choice of making her so stupid, because, like, having heard that she was so active in that decision and manipulation, I'm just like, why didn't they choose to lean into that? I don't understand why they wouldn't choose to lean into that.
Because they wanted to highlight that men equal war and women equal peace.
But that's so reductive.
Unfortunately, yes, that is the angle that they chose.
But it's like, I think it was a fun season to watch, but, like, yeah, with their messaging, I think they completely distorted what was basically established in season 1, or they were trying to, like, build a foundation on in season 1.
Yeah, the other issue is that the real story, like, the uprising and the sides gathering what they need to win this war, was overshadowed by the fact that they kept going back to the prophecy that ends up meaning nothing, because Game of Thrones already happened, and it sucked.
Yeah. And I feel like that was like a bit of a fan service for, like, Game of Thrones fans, and I'm like, we don't need fan service.
Yeah, we keep building up the prince that was promised, the prince that was promised, the prince that was promised. Arya kills the Night King. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Because
I feel like it's fair. I low-key think that, like, as just someone who, like, analyzes media, that I didn't expect the popularity after season 1. And they thought that, oh, we have this, so they just kind of like, okay, let's, like, make up for things for season, like, in season 2, let's just make up things for season 8. Like, every mistake that we made in season 8, let's just make it up in season 2.
Well, let's just, for context here, so House of the Dragon is outlined for 4 seasons.
Oh, it is already? Okay.
Section of Fire and Blood that the Dance of the Dragons comes from is about 170 pages.
Oh. Okay.
And that's from Viserys was chosen as king over Rhaenys to Aegon and Rhaenyra's last children die. Like, the whole inception to end was 170 something pages.
So it's like a lot of liberties being taken then.
A lot.
So is Rhaenys at least accurate? Because I do love her character at least.
For the most part, actually, yes. I actually liked the way that the scene with her fighting Aegon and Aemond was done.
Yeah.
They took some liberties with it in general. I actually liked that they had Aemond purposefully choose to burn his brother.
Okay. Yeah.
That was something that was up for interpretation in the books.
Oh,
that was something from multiple narrators that we didn't really know what happened, but I love that that's the angle that they went with, because those are seeds they planted in season 1.
Yeah.
Hammered home with the adult bullying of Aemond through this
brothel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, well, you're going to get got for that. And I
was like, when the brothel happened, I'm like, oh, this is building up to him, like, retaliating. And I feel like they were just trying to remind us, like, hey, don't forget. We know that Tomlin Carney is, like, the most charming man ever, but don't forget he still sucks and is a bully. So, yeah.
And I think that was actually done really well. All the money is obviously going to designing these damn dragons.
Yeah. The dragons. I think that's...
The dragon fight so cool.
Yeah. I will say, I think that's another reason why, like, I'm like, season 2 was fine, like, good, because I'm like, I love the dragons. I love the fights. I love the personalities of the dragons that we have associated with them. Like, I'm not even really involved with Team Black and Team Green. I'm just, like, all about the dragons. Yeah. Okay,
this brings me to issue number 3. They made Helaena not a dragon rider. Which... Yeah! Again, not in the books. She was very close with her dragon.
I was really that arc of hers, and like, I'm like, what do you mean she's not gonna ride the dragon?
And I get not wanting to fight. Helaena not wanting to be active in the war makes total sense.
Yeah.
Helaena not riding at all, that doesn't make sense.
I don't think it had to be that extreme. Yeah, I think it would have been more powerful for her to be able to like ride a dragon than choose not to partake, because then it would
absolutely.
It would have been such a great juxtaposition to how her brothers approached dragon riding.
Mm-hmm. I think that would have been a much stronger character decision, not just for her, but to show the variety in Team Green.
100%.
Yeah, it was a wasted opportunity. I say all the time that when you're doing an adaptation, you need to hire a fan to just have you in the writer's room and just writers upside the head when they suggest something.
I think we said this with the Avatar Last Airbender adaptation. It was just like, I really feel like there was no fans in the writer's room. I can just feel it.
None. Yeah. And that's and it's pitiful because they claim to be fans, but it's very clear that they've never read the source material.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw before it got snatched off his blog. I don't know if you saw George R.R. Martin's.
No, I did not. I've heard. I saw JJ's review about it, so that was enough. But yeah.
And it was great, and it filled my heart with joy, because I love that he started at episode 1 of season 2, and everyone's like, oh, I thought that he would have this big old long list of grievances. I go, sweetie, he started episode 1. This dude was going to do a blog post per episode until he got that said take it down.
Also, like, why wouldn't you involve him more? I was just, like, so confused. I'm just like, why isn't he in the writer's room with these, like, with his production team? It makes no actual sense.
Because they genuinely think that they can tell a better original story in his world with his characters than he can.
The arrogance is astounding. It's actually, the ego is crazy, literally.
As a fan, it's infuriating. And as someone who's aspiring to be a screenwriter, it's even more infuriating.
Yeah.
Especially since HBO's response to it was, George R.R. Martin has his opinions, but we're a popular show, so we're going to keep doing what we want, was essentially what that response boiled down to. And my major issue with that is, you were popular in season 1, buddy. Your viewership went down every single episode of season 2, so maybe listen to the guy that created the thing.
I don't know. HBO is like, what is it like? It's like it's a snake eating its own tail mentality. I blame Sam Levinson. I blame Euphoria and Sam Levinson. Their ego got just way too big because their responses to everything that's going on with Sam Levinson, I know it's like a diversion of topic. That to me is a sign that like they're not paying attention. What was that?
I'll blame Sam Levinson for stuff. I hate the guy.
Yeah. Why not? Like, why not just blame him for everything? I think the downfall of HBO is Sam Levinson, simply put. He ruined the entire network, simply put.
I did an entire article about how he's a perv, and Euphoria is just his way of making child porn legally. Like, that's...
Exactly! Like, that's just... If that's not basic information, I don't know what the world is.
It's why I refuse to watch, The Idol? Was that what his other one was? Some stupid whatever like that. I knew it was going to be the same.
I've never seen a more terrible show in my life. I've never laughed so much and been so confused so much.
So, this is another tangent. I'm working on a lot of video essays right now. One of them being, why do streaming services hate women?
Yeah.
Every single show in the last 5 years on HBO Max that was canceled after one season was led by women. Every single one.
Was actually empowering to women, because I don't know if you watched, like, again, tangent, sorry Monica, but I don't know if you watched the Penguin, but I'm just so happy that Kristen Milotti has another show where she's the main character, because Made for Love not being on their streaming site anymore is bonkers to me, because that show is amazing, and it centers women, and it's actually about women's autonomy. And now it's not even streamable on the internet.
The deletion of media is also a whole different problem.
If you look at all the projects that were deleted permanently, are all shows run by women, because Westworld also run by women.
Yep, and I mean, Disney Plus and the Paramount Plus show, Rise of the Pink Ladies, like all the things that are getting canceled and deleted.
Fun fact, all shows that I love. All shows that I really liked. So I'm very upset about it.
Getting wiped, ran by or featuring women. And it is some 1984 Ministry of History type of shit.
Even better, Time Traveler's Wife, which is about grooming, which addresses this grooming, also run by a woman, also off.
Yep.
I bought it because I love Theo James and but yeah.
The streaming services, Netflix is about 50-50. They just pump out a bunch of crap and then...
Yeah, I can't actually keep up with Netflix. But HBO I can keep up with because...
HBO, Paramount Plus, 100% failure rate on shows run and featuring women.
Yeah, and they're the ones that can permanently
and they're the only ones they wiped from their streaming services. And Disney is about 80-20. So they're pretty bad, too.
What did Disney permanently wipe? Because I didn't know they did that.
I think they took Willow off.
Willow! We'll never forgive them for Willow.
Yeah, so streaming services...
Yeah.
83% of shows that are canceled after a single season feature women.
Yeah, I believe it.
Extremely high percentage.
Yeah. The only reason why I broke my own pact of not having Disney Plus shows is because of Agatha all along. Because once I heard it was queer and run by women, I'm like, they're gonna cancel us. I'm gonna watch it. I know. I there's obviously the ban with Marvel, but I'm like, I'm watching it. I won't make content about it, but I'm watching it because I know how their numbers work. After The Acolyte, I'm like, I know how they're gonna do. They're gonna cancel it, so I'm gonna. And don't get me started about The Acolyte. I'm so mad and upset.
I'm watching it because I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm a casual Star Wars fan. I don't care about the lore. I think at this point, if your extended universe is that vast between the novels and video games or whatever, I guarantee you there's inconsistencies already that no one has been yet. So I'm really not about that.
There is way too much Star Wars media out there for it to be consistent at this point.
Exactly. I I'm not worried about that, but I was watching it. I got through the first episode. I go, is this the show the internet was complaining about? This can't be the show the internet was complaining about. I watched the second and third episodes. I'm like, are we sure? Because this is really freaking good. This is a show, two different sides of the universe, using her leaving the Jedi Order to show that the Jedi Order actually isn't perfect and has a lot of overreach in the galaxy and is a very flawed organization. Brilliant. I don't understand. The show's amazing.
Storytelling. I was like, this is just a good format to tell a story that's nuanced. And I didn't watch Star Wars in the beginning, too, because I'm tired of Star Wars media. There's just way too much. Same with why I didn't watch Agatha all along, right? Because I'm tired of Marvel media. But then I was, like, hearing the reviews, and I'm like, okay, if everyone hates it, that means I'm gonna love it. So that's why I watch it. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Again, sorry for cussing, but I feel like this time it's valid. But simply put, the Acolyte made me love Star Wars again. And this is not just because I'm obsessed with Mary Jacinto. This is because, like, Amanda Lala killed it. Two roles, twin sisters, perfect way to approach the Force that's supposed to be a balance. Like, you cannot get more medically accurate than twins. Like, literally psychological studies have been talked about nature versus nurture between twins. And the Acolyte approached it that way. Like, this is just genius. That's just smart.
It was brilliant, and this is my new rule. If their criticism of something is bad writing, I'm going to assume they're too stupid to actually articulate an opinion, and I'm going to assume that it was actually great, and you don't know what you're talking about.
I can't get over it. I got bullied. I will tell you this. I got bullied on the internet for being like, it's good writing. I don't know. Everyone's like, you know, like everyone was like, it's just bad writing. It's bad writing. It's bad writing. And like, I'm just like, is it bad writing or do you not understand women? I think that it's you don't understand women.
You have to cite a specific example and tell me why you think it's bad. And is it the dialogue? Is it the way it works in the context of the story? Is it the way that it works with the character development? There's so many things that could constitute bad writing.
My favorite is like, oh, she was so inconsistent. I'm like, have you met a woman? Do you know how, like literally consistencies? I saw motivation. It is just as simple as my sister is alive. That is enough. That is enough for a woman to change her mind.
So a woman that's dealing with the sense of isolation and realizing she still has family alive, even though she never really agreed with that family and wanted to go off on her own, and is still struggling with the grief and the loss of the rest of her people. Like, hello?
I hate to quote Harry Potter, but Hermione being like, I'm so sorry you have the emotional capacity of a spoon, but literally we exist in multitudes. We can feel all these feelings at once. Like, even before this, I was like, I'm feeling frustrated from work yesterday, but I could talk about House of the Dragon. I can do both.
Yeah. I'm gonna move us to my computer charger.
Yeah. Back to House of the Dragon, though. Rhaenys and Helena, I would say that. They're my number ones, for sure, always.
Yeah. Sorry. My main problem with just the season as a whole is it felt like the writers didn't have a plan for any of it. Like, it felt like they were going, well, something has to happen. We need a conflict. And why wouldn't it be between Alicent and Rhaenyra? Well, because they're not friends anymore. Yeah. It genuinely would have made more sense for, especially after Blood and Cheese, for if she was going to go to King's Landing, for Rhaenyra to go to Helena and be like, hey, I want you to know that this wasn't me. I would never take a child away from somebody the way my child was taken from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This war is about to get bad. I want to give you the chance to leave.
Yeah. No, like, that actually makes way more sense
to me.
And it's so weird that they continue to try to pit women against each other because, like, Rhaenyra, you were just like, why would I do that to sweet Helena? Like, I don't know. Why do they keep isolating Helena? Why do they make... Rhaenyra was very passive, and then she was almost too active. Emma Darcy did a great job in what they were given.
They're amazing.
Yeah. I don't blame their acting skills. I blame the writers for how her character felt inconsistent.
100%.
Yeah.
As a media analyst, I'm going to watch season 3 and 4, but literally only because they're content. If I was just... Yeah. This was not part of my job, I'd be like, I don't feel the need to watch the next 2 seasons. Because they fumbled so hard.
If it wasn't for the dragons... I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for the dragons, because I am the most invested in the dragons.
Oh, absolutely. I think the show's beautiful. The cinematography and the costume design and the CGI, it's gorgeous to look at. I just wish the writing was better.
Yeah. I wish they wrote the female characters better, especially their 2 main female characters. That was definitely, like, Alicent was, like, such a disappointment. I go with Rhaenyra, but, like, Alicent, I'm just like, this was such a great character season 1. What did you do to her?
And the problem is, if you're going to make a character that was not relevant in the source material and you're going to bring her to the forefront, then you need to give her something. You need to give her motivation. You need to give her a storyline that's not fucking her Queen's Guard.
Oh my god, I forgot about that too. Can we talk about that? Why would
they make her so hypocritical this season?
Yeah, why did they do that? Like, Kristen Cole? Like, what? Why?
Like, why? Like, loved each other. They just sent each other these, like, longing looks or whatever. I'm like, can you put this away? This is so terrible. And then to have them be together and have Helena run in on them after watching her son get beheaded.
I just, like, okay, I'm like, if you didn't want them to be obsessed with Rhaenyra, if you didn't want Alicent to be, like, the sworn ex, why are you writing her exactly like that? Because my thing is, like, Kristen Cole is an incel, fine. Then he has that, like, epiphany at the end of the season. But I'm just like, I don't understand what their love, like, is so confusing what they want us to feel about these characters and what their message is.
Being together was the closest they were going to get to Rhaenyra, and they are...
Yeah, and that's the truth. Like, yeah, and, like, that's why I was saying that, like, when I watch the show, I feel a certain way about these characters, but I'm just like, but I feel like it's so inconsistent with season 1 that I'm like, I think they sold me in feeling like creating a new character, essentially.
Yeah, honestly, my favorite scene all season was probably the opening scene with Rhaenyra flying to look for her baby and her baby's dragon, because with no words.
I will say that scene was so good, yeah. Episode 1
loss and grief and that just weight so well. They are so freaking fantastic to watch. But then it was all downhill from there.
I did, so for Temple of Geek, I actually did for the most part, I did a recap for every episode, but episode 1 of season 2 actually inspired me to write the article of, like, comparing Rhaenyra and Alicent with as mothers, because I felt like episode 1 was a good, like, synopsis of the women we have been watching up until then from all of season 1, all the way from, like, Alicent, you know, being forced to be having to bed Rhaenyra's father. Right. And then it just went downhill. Because, like, I remember, like, watching episode 3 and being like, wow, my article is so irrelevant now. It doesn't even work anymore. And
the writers should have read it.
Yeah. I was like, episode 1, I'm like, yes, I'm so relevant. And then I'm like, nope, I was wrong. They completely changed the characters.
Right. And it's upsetting to me because, and so my husband and I now have a podcast called An Idea of All Time, where we watch a aggressively mediocre movie for an excessive amount of time. And it's starting to make me spiral. But our movie for now is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And all the writers on that are relatively unheard of. Like, they have a couple of shorts. They worked on a few together, and that's it. And I think that's Marvel's way of getting around having to pay them full union fees, because they hadn't sold
that's
enough.
Really smart. I thought I was giving them a chance, but you're right. That's probably more it. Yeah.
But my problem with that is that if you're gonna hire new writers, hire writers that at least know and understand the source material. Hire fans. Yeah. Because look, I'm not saying I'm God's gift to screenwriting. I've never sold anything. I'm not going to be WGA registered for a very long time. I feel like I could have fixed season... If I had been in the writer's room and they would be like, this is our season 2 plan, I could just make a little couple of tweaks here or there, and it would have been a much stronger season. And because I know I understand the source material.
It's a little tweaks. It's not like rewriting a whole character. It's truly just little tweaks.
And I feel that way with season 1, too. Like, if that's the way they wanted to go with Rhaenyra and Alicent's relationship, they're cool, best friends, but they talk to each other. And then the more that she gets into this relationship, maybe they don't become strained, really, until she becomes pregnant. And then Alicent's desperately trying to save the relationship, so she tells her dad, I'm going to have Viserys fire you, because Rhaenyra
I think that is actually what they were trying to go for, but it just didn't translate that way.
It didn't, because the time jumps really screwed it up.
Yeah.
But, like, if she had just been like, okay, I can feel my best friend slipping away from me. What if I have my husband make her hand to the king? That way she can learn.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. And then Alicent starts to feel more confident having her friend near her, and now she's throwing in her 2 cents, and Rhaenyra now feels like she's trying to take her power from her. And then we have this actual tension that's born out of a real relationship where they're trying to stay close and they're trying to save each other, but the more they try to save their relationship, the more it gets ripped apart. That would have been emotionally compelling. Yeah. That you would have been able to carry.
That would have felt accurate to women friendships.
Exactly.
That would have been accurate and like something that we could actually relate to, and then we wouldn't ship them into a romantic queer relationship.
Or Alicent watches her kind of spit all over having choices and having freedom.
Yeah. Yep.
The more she kind of holds on to this anger until it just explodes into a fight, and then they don't talk for a while. Like, that would have made sense. But because Sarah Hess has never had a female friendship, and because the rest of the writers' room are men,
that's the other thing. Like, having one female writer is just like not enough, or one like a screenwriter, like one production team, or one like showrunner. It's just not enough. Like I think there was a conversation I saw with like Pop Color. That they're like, what are we going to say? No, that is racist? Like, in a room full of white people? No, we're not. Right. We're just going to be like, yeah, that's fine. And, like, as someone who has been an only person of color in any other work setting, yeah, of course I'm not going to just be, like, advocating for myself right now. I need other people that look like me to be there in the room with me. So, like, yeah, of course, one woman against a bunch of men, you need to have at least, like, 5 women. Like, or 3.
It would be better if Sarah Hess was a good person. But she is so...
I don't know much about her. I didn't actually realize that she was terrible, like, till this moment, to be honest with you. I did not know.
In their marketing for season 1, she tries to add nuance to the fact that Aegon is a rapist. And she says, and I quote, "We can't write him off as a totally bad person."
Wait, when? Where?
People have layers, and even though they did this horrible thing, they might see themselves as good people.
Where is this?
More nuances. This is an interview, fully quotable, fully can find. This was in their press tour for season 1. I did
not know about that.
Good people, because everybody has layers.
He was a bad person because he was a rapist. I thought that was the thing.
Everybody makes mistakes, and he might not have seen it as rape, and the context of the world was different, except for it wasn't. Rape has always been a crime in every historical sense, in every part of the world, everywhere.
I need to look this up. I had no idea that she said all this. I didn't really see the marketing for season 1. I'll be honest with you. I was very deterred after season 8 of Game of Thrones. I did not really want to touch anything with that IP. So I didn't watch any of the marketing. I just watched the show.
Sarah Hess is representation we want in the writer's room anyway. So not
only
but Sarah Hess is the worst possible representative we could have in the writer's room, which makes it 10 times worse because
like
no one
Lena Dunham effect
other women in their portrayals.
Yeah, it's like Lena Dunham all over again, which I'm rewatching Girls. So yeah,
yes.
Oh, HBO! What the hell? It's all over again. Oh my gosh. Anyway, this was fun. I'm glad we could vent this out.
Yeah, we should wrap up. We went on a lot of tangents. Sorry, Monica.
Yeah, this was a good session, though. I think it was a good way to discuss media these days because media for the summer, especially the way they were women. I don't know if you watch Umbrella Academy, but
I heard bad
about Lila. I have never been so hurt by a woman of color, South Asian woman of color, and then she was such a cool character. They reduced her to a love angle and like bored housewife.
No, I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah, why can't they give us anything? Like, why can't we have really great, dynamic female characters that actually are perfect and they aren't ruled by their sexuality, and then they reduce them to that because they're like, oh, a badass woman, everyone wants to sleep with her. No, she could just be a badass.
And this is where I get to say, everyone go watch Rings of Power. Galadriel and Disa are my favorite parts of that show.
On that note, Rings of Power is doing well.
I love it. Season 2.
Great. Yeah, they're doing good. Big fan of Rings of Power.
Okay, everybody go follow Temple of Geek on everything. We are Temple of Geek on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and X, which is Twitter, because I refuse to call it X because that's terrible. And I am now Fangirl Productions 13 on TikTok because I got banned.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. They were gunning for me for a while. TikTok hates women too.
Yeah. That's why I've been off the creator fund for over a year. So all those views, thank you, but I got no money from them anyways.
Yeah, TikTok has some issues too. But I'm Fangirl Productions 13 on both TikTok and Instagram. You want to plug your stuff?
Oh yeah, and Maria watches everything on Instagram and TikTok. I'm not really deep diving into anything. I just did a whole thing about Kevin Can F Himself, The Umbrella Academy, The Acolyte before that, and I'm tired. Those were like a lot of the fandoms that I didn't want to have to keep fighting, but I did. They're great for women representation. I watched Chaos. It's really good. I'll probably be making videos about Chaos soon. But yeah, watching Rings of Power. Chaos was good. We better get a season 2. If we don't, I'm done. I think I'll be mentally, emotionally done for, like, I'm probably going to stop watching TV.
I'm going to organize a letter writing campaign to Netflix.
Like, I just cannot take cancellations anymore. I can't take these, like, bridge seasons anymore. I'm just so tired. I can't explain it. But anyways, follow me before that happens.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maria.